Hi, welcome back to the Saturday Six. Oh, I almost got it. I'm Rob Bowron from Sharp College Football, and man, we got some good games this week. I'm really excited for this week. There are just a bevy of really good games. There are a couple of good games that got left off here this week, including Georgia, Missouri. Georgia's favored by a little too much comparatively to some of the other good games we have this week, but I'm really excited. The hottest team in college football is on here. That's actually Kansas State. Kansas State has been absolutely massively beating expectations the last couple of weeks, shooting up in advanced stats rankings. I'm really interested to see how they do. It's a really good team. They've mostly been pounding on bad competition. So getting to go against Texas, I think is going to give us a really good idea of whether they are a team that just can, bow up and really beat down some really bad competition, or potentially, if they've got more there. And whether there's, some of the, certainly I would say the loss to Oklahoma State was a bit turnover driven and unlucky. But whether also, Missouri turned out to be a good team. Losing to them is no shame. So excited for that one. Of course, LSU and Alabama. It's probably the headliner if you're a TV executive this week. But underneath it, we've also got Washington and USC. UCLA and Arizona is a sneaky, really good game in the Pac-12, as well as a great group of five matchup in South Alabama and Troy. And that's tomorrow night on Thursday. If this is your first time tuning in, I'm Rob Bowron, the econometrician behind BetaRank and Advanced Stats System for College Football. We're going to run through previewing 6 games from an advanced stats perspective using BetaRank. All the stats you're going to see are going to be controlling for at least opponent and field position and tempo, sometimes more. And we'll try to run through and give you an idea of what they are as we're going through. Importantly, as we're running through this, I try to stick to 5 minutes a game. I'm usually pretty good at it. I have a timer to help keep me on track. And like I said, mostly I'm able to stick to it. But as we're running through here, we're going to walk through what teams are really good at, what they're not good at, how that might shape the matchup, as well as who's favored to win and, what the predicted score is currently. So, like I said, it's 5 minutes a game. Let's go ahead and hop in. Kansas State has shot up the advanced stats rankings. Chris Kleeman is your head coach for Kansas State. Steve Sarkisian is your head coach for Texas. This is like I said, kind of an under the radar, really good game here because Kansas State has been playing so well. Now, the 2 early season losses have kept them from being further up in the rankings that humans vote on, and a lot of people are a lot more familiar with. But this game, I think, is one that if they are able to pull off a win, because Texas already has some solid wins under their belt, as well as playing Oklahoma, another team with some solid wins under their belt. Close. This game, I think, would really help solidify what we think about Kansas State. Offensively, the offense coordinator for Kansas State is Colin Klein. Pete Kwiatkowski is your defensive coordinator for Texas. Now, this Kansas State offense, they're not amazing, right? LSU is the only offense putting up really big numbers this year, but they're really consistent and they're excellent at drive efficiency. They do a really good job putting together long drives to be able to put up points. 21 overall in explosive drives. This is a less explosive offense. They rely on being able to get solid yards per play. If you kind of peeked over at that for Texas, this is going to be an interesting matchup. Now, their play efficiency is at number 40 overall. This is their yards per play outside of explosives. They do a decent-ish job here, but this is by far and away their worst metric. Luckily for them, it's the least important of the core 4 BetaRank metrics. Now, their negative drives number is really solid. They do a really good job avoiding 3-and-outs and avoiding turnovers. They're at 3 in effective rush versus 31 in effective pass. Probably expect that given that it's Kansas State and, Kleeman came in through the North Dakota State coaching tree. That kind of run pass split, Texas absolutely knows what they have to be able to do. Kwiatkowski's defense number 14 overall right now. Number 5 in drive efficiency. They do a really good job finding ways to get off the field, avoid giving up long drives, avoid giving up points. Unusually for a Kwiatkowski defense, they are really struggling at stopping big plays right now. In fact, that's what Kwiatkowski's defenses at Washington were really known for. 2 very high safeties that often prevented you from putting up big plays. Number 18 overall in play efficiency. Number 19 at negative drives. They do a decent job forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers. No big run pass split here. The thing to really keep an eye on with this matchup, of course, is this drive efficiency matchup. Can Kansas State sustain drives against this Texas team that's done a really good job finding ways to get off the field? Or because Texas is kind of middle of the road in the Power 5 at giving up big plays, Kansas State find a way to put up a big play, change the game here. Now you flip it around again. Kansas State's really solid over here. Texas's offense is number 16 overall under Steve Sarkisian as your offensive coordinator here. Oh, I should say Will Howard's your quarterback for Kansas State. 63.7% completion percentage, 7.6 per. Now, Sark's offense, they struggle with drive efficiency, sustaining drives to be able to put up points. This is something they need to work on with both consistency and play calling. The offensive line isn't quite where they want it to be. And of course, they have the injury at quarterback. Number 16 overall in explosive drives, they are more reliant on big plays than they are on efficiency. Number 15 overall in play efficiency. They do a pretty good job here outside of explosives, sustaining their yards per play. And a really good job here at number 12, avoiding 3 and outs, avoiding turnovers. That's really helpful. No big run pass split here. A little bit of both. Now, Malik Murphy is your quarterback here with Quinn Ewers out with the shoulder injury. He's at 60.6% completion percentage, 6.6 per. That tells you a lot about how limited he is right now. In modern college football, you're really looking to be closer to 65% completion percentage. And 6.6 per is really telling you he is not getting the ball down the field at all. Now, this Kansas State defense is really good, number 9 overall in beta rank. They do a really good job in drive efficiency, finding ways to avoid giving up long drives, but they're also really good at avoiding giving up big plays too. Joe Klanderman, by the way, is your defensive coordinator here. Now, the North Dakota State defenses have largely translated into the Power 5 very well. This defense they do a decent job here at play efficiency, limiting the yards per play outside of explosives. Their negative drives number is their weakest number by far. They don't do a great job forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers, kind of middle of the Power 5 here. The interesting thing in this matchup, and I think is like in Kansas State doesn't have a really big run pass split, 9 an effective rush, 12 an effective pass. This matchup might be come down to Kansas State's ability to limit big plays. Texas has become fairly reliant on them. Be interesting to see too with Malik Murphy with how limited he's been. We've got Kansas State favored here, 73% win probability. Negative, and favored by about 6.44. But the predicted score flips it. Texas is the favorite here in the predicted score, 24.54, 24.47, just very, very slightly for Texas. Now the win probability and the a naive spread, as we call it, that 6.44. Those are just based on the distance between the teams overall. The predicted score that I gave out, that 24 points where Texas was slightly favored, that takes into account everything you see here with the matchup. Buddy, this is a matchup of, some teams with some bad units and some teams with some good, and that also have a good unit. Brian Kelly's your head coach for LSU. Nick Saban, of course, is your head coach for Alabama. Mike Denbrock is your offensive coordinator for LSU. And Kevin Steele is your defensive coordinator for Alabama. This offense for LSU has been fantastic. I owe Mike Denbrock a bit of a mea culpa. I was skeptical about the hire. He didn't produce any great defenses at Notre Dame or at Cincinnati when he was there. So to be here with this offense where they're just putting up massive numbers this year in advanced stats as well is fantastic for him. As well as Jaden Daniels. They're number 6 overall in drive efficiency. They do a really good job. They're not great at it comparatively. It's something certainly they can improve on over the season, the execution to be able to put together long drives and to sustain them with the play calling and execution to put up points. But number 1 overall in explosive drive, this is a hugely explosive offense. Number 1 in play efficiency. They're great outside of explosive, sustaining the yards per play. And number 1 in negative drives. They don't take a lot of 3 and outs. They don't take a lot of turnovers. They come onto the field with a plan. They don't make a lot of mistakes there. Number 5 in effective rush versus number 2 in effective pass. Jaden Daniels has a 73.1% completion percentage, 11.5 per. Kevin Steele, here's your defensive coordinator here. They're really struggling a little bit with drive efficiency. So in some ways, this is a little bit of a better matchup for this defense. I mean, they're good. This isn't a great Alabama defense. They're worse than they were last season as well. They're at number 11 overall in explosive drives. They're going to need to limit big plays. I mean, that's the name of the game. You're going to want to try. I mean, LSU is going to put up points no matter what. But you want to force them to, drive the length of the field, not give up a bunch of big plays if you can avoid it. But this is scaled. I scaled the defensive numbers here to where the offensive numbers are to give you an idea, I think, of how the matchup would go. Like, you should still expect Alabama to give up some bigger plays in this game, even though they're better at avoiding them than a lot of other teams. Number 6 in play efficiency. They do a good job limiting yards per play outside of explosives. And 13 at negative drives. They're going to need to force some 3 and outs. Ideally, they would also force a turnover here. This Alabama defense is going to absolutely get tested here. And it's interesting because they're pretty good against the pass. Number 4 overall in effective pass. Where they are susceptible is against the run. Number 37 overall in effective rush. Really kind of a struggle here. This is something to keep an eye on. Their effective rush, like if LSU is able to run the ball effectively or lean into the run, this could be trouble for Alabama. Now you flip it over to the other side. Alabama's offense is a middle of the road offense under Tommy Rees, middle of the Power 5 road offense. This is a really bad offense by Alabama standards. They're at number 61 overall drive efficiency. One of the worst teams in the Power 5 at sustaining long drives and turning them into points. 28 overall in explosive drives. They struggle to put up big plays as well, but a much better number for them. 22 in play efficiency. Their yards per play outside of explosives is pretty good comparatively, and not great. Not at 43 overall in negative drives. Too many 3 and outs. Too many turnovers. I mean, interestingly, this Alabama offense at number 31 overall, it's about where Tommy Rees Notre Dame offense is often graded out. Not really way below where the talent level is. Number 16 overall in effective rush versus 55 in effective pass. They definitely lean into the run game more. Jalen Milroe is your quarterback here. 64.7% completion percentage, 10.6 per. This LSU defense, however, has been horrendous. 73 overall in beta rank. You can absolutely put together long drives to put up points against them. 105 there. Look to see if Alabama is able to take advantage of that one. 48 overall in explosive drives. They do a better job limiting yards per play outside of explosives, so that's certainly a win for them. Their play efficiency is at number 32 overall. They do a decent job comparatively limiting the yards per play outside of explosives, but like I said, it's the least important of the core 4 beta rank metrics. They are at 82 overall in negative drives. They are really struggling here. They don't force enough 3 and outs. They don't force enough turnovers. They're at 78 in effective rush versus 61 in effective pass. Not a big run pass split either way. Something to watch out for is if they're able to stop the run. They've really struggled with that so far this season. We've got this as let me find it. LSU 66% win probability and about 4.44 in the naive spread. We have Alabama though as a 30 favored in the predicted score, 33.63 to 28.84. This is a reflection, I think, of how bad this LSU defense is. The fact that this game is on the road at Alabama. Alabama should be able to absolutely put up some points here in this game. Something to keep an eye on. Now this game is going to be kind of bad. This game right now, Kalen DeBoer is your head coach for Washington. Of course, Lincoln Riley is your head coach for USC. This game right now, this Washington offense is even with struggles, and there definitely have been some reports of illness, definitely some trash can sightings on the Washington sideline, particularly in the last game that they had against Stanford. But Washington struggled a little bit offensively. They've fallen down from the top ranked offense within beta rank down to number 8 overall. Ryan Grubb's your offensive coordinator. They struggle with drive efficiency, number 62 overall in drive efficiency. Not really great at putting together long drives to be able to put up points. They're at number 2 overall in explosive drives. They're excellent at putting up big plays, finding points, through gashing teams for big plays. Number 2 overall in play efficiency, again, outside of explosives, doing a really good job limiting yards per play. Number 14 overall in negative drives, they do a good job of avoiding 3 and outs, avoiding turnovers. Number 1 in effective pass, they don't run the football much. They really shouldn't. They're so good throwing the football around. They get a defense under Alex Grinch, of course, that is really struggling, and in a lot of ways looks like they haven't improved at all off of last season. Really gives up a lot of big plays. Number 80 overall in drive efficiency, they are struggling to find ways to get off the field and avoid giving up points, avoid giving up long drives. 77 in explosive drives. They are not great at limiting big plays either. Their play efficiency number outside of explosive, 65 here. It's their best number. Unfortunately, it's the least important. And they're not great at forcing 3 and outs and turnovers. Number 85 in explosive or negative drives. Not a big, they're a little bit better against the pass than they are against the run. I expect them to struggle and give up a lot of big plays here. They have really struggled in coverage so far this season. Michael Penix is your quarterback for Washington, 69% completion percentage, 10.0 per. This USC offense has also been kind of have stubbed their toes, but this should be a little bit of a bounce back week for them. They've certainly, now Cal doesn't have a great defense, and they certainly had a better game against Cal, but this should feel better than the games against Utah and Notre Dame. Lincoln Riley is your offensive coordinator here. William Inge is your defensive coordinator for Washington. This USC defense offense is taking a step back from where they were last season. It definitely feels like Caleb Williams is sort of like dragging this entire team, including the offense at times along with him. They're number 35 in drive efficiency. They really struggle to put together long drives to put up points. The execution is just not there for this team. Now they do put together big plays, number 5 overall in explosive drives. You can see Caleb Williams often buying time with his feet, waiting for guys to get open because they're not getting open when they're supposed to. But then they do get open later and he's able to hit them for big plays. It looks as if either USC doesn't have the skill position talent that they need in order to execute things, or the scheme's just not working in Lincoln Riley. And he's got Cliff Kingsbury on staff. Need to go back to the drawing board a little bit. Number 7 some of it is the offensive line's not always great. Number 7 overall at play efficiency outside of explosives. They do a decent job generating the yards per play. And 4 at negative drives. Caleb Williams does a great job taking care of the football, avoiding 3 and outs, not taking sacks. Number 42 overall in effective rush. Not a great running team at all. The offensive line's really struggled here. Number 6 in effective pass, though. They still can throw it around a bit. They get a Washington defense that's improved over where they were last year at number 43 overall. But number 14 overall in drive efficiency, they're really good at finding ways to use the field to their advantage and avoid giving up points. This tells you something. Their offense is almost always scoring, so they almost always have really good field position to work with. They're able to use that to their advantage here, but they struggle with big plays. Number 70 overall in explosive drives. That's something to keep an eye on here. I'm really interested to see if this Washington team can cover these USC receivers for as long as Caleb Williams might be able to buy himself time. Number 39 overall in play efficiency. They do a decent job comparatively finding ways to limit the yards per play outside of explosives. And 78 in negative drives. This is a real problem for them. Not enough 3 and outs, not enough turnovers, not forcing enough bad things onto the offense. No big run pass split here. We've got Caleb Williams with a 68.2% completion percentage, 9.6 per. Washington, 65% win probability, 3.66. We do have them favored 42.56 to 40.19. Should be a really close game. Something to keep an eye on. I'm interested to see if Williams can really put a sign of a signature game out here, because it's been a bad couple weeks for him. And of course, I would like to see, Penix and Washington healthy and see them get out of their slump as well. It's kind of an under the radar, really fun game. UCLA with a fantastic defense gets to take on absolutely surging Arizona. Jed Fish is your head coach for Arizona. Chip Kelly's your head coach for UCLA. Chip Kelly, of course, is also your offensive play caller for UCLA. And Johnny Nansen's your defensive coordinator for Arizona. This UCLA offense kind of sucks. This is trending in the wrong direction. They're on the wrong side of the middle of the Power 5 at number 47 overall. it's shocking to see a Chip Kelly offense being this bad. Number 46 overall in drive efficiency. They struggle to put together long drives in order to put up points. Struggling with explosive drives as well. Not a terribly explosive offense. Number 43 overall. Their best number is play efficiency at number 30. That's closer to the middle of the Power 5 of their yards per play outside of explosives, but it's, like I said a couple times, it's the least important of the core 4. And negative drives, too many 3 and outs, too many turnovers. Now there's a huge run pass split here. Number 18 overall in effective rush versus 74 in effective pass. They're not a terribly effective team throwing the football, even though they're also, they're reliant on the run, but the run game has struggled a little bit. The offensive line hasn't been great. They get an Arizona defense. Ethan Garbers is your quarterback, 69.9% completion percentage, 8.8 per. They get an Arizona defense that's made massive improvements over where they were last season. 27 overall in drive efficiency. They do a pretty good job finding ways to get off the field, avoid giving up points, using the field to their advantage, not giving up long drives. This is a middle of the road Power 5 defense, so this is kind of a good matchup against this UCLA offense. Now they are at 47 overall in explosive drives. They can give up some big plays. That's something to keep an eye on here. They're at 16 at play efficiency. They do a really good job limiting your yards per play outside of explosives. Only at 41 in negative drives. Need to force more 3 and outs, more turnovers. Takario Davis in particular, the cornerback, had three. He got his hands on three passes and intercepted 0 of them last week against Oregon State in Arizona's win. They're a lot better against the run than they are against the pass, though their pass number is improving as they are facing teams that are less great throwing the football around. Getting Washington will certainly hurt your pass numbers a bit. But this matchup, I think, is a really good matchup for this Arizona defense. It's going to be interesting to see if UCLA can get anything going in the passing game, because Arizona has made it difficult to run the football so far this season. Now you flip it around. This is a really tough matchup. This is Arizona offense under Jed Fish as your play caller here. They've improved over where they were last season, particularly since Noah Fafita has taken over at quarterback. They still struggle with drive efficiency, but they are improving. Last year, of course, and when Jaden DeLora was the quarterback, they were an all explosive plays offense. Now they are a more efficient offense, but they're still struggling with that at 64 overall. They do rely on big plays. Number 19 overall in explosive drives. Their play efficiency numbers are right. Number 23 overall here. Outside of explosives, they do a decent job putting up their yards per play. They do a pretty good job avoiding negative drives, avoiding 3 and outs, avoiding turnovers. They're at 19 in effective pass versus 53 in effective rush. They're certainly better. Not only that, they're a lot better in pass pro than they are running, and run blocking. So it'll be interesting to see. This UCLA defense is really, really good. Noah Fafita is going to be your quarterback here. 75.8% completion percentage, 7.8 per. He does often hit a lot of underneath stuff and a lot of short passes, but he can also, air it out a little bit. And he's fairly accurate down the field. Danton Lynn is your defensive coordinator for UCLA. Should be in strong consideration for the Broyles Award. Took this defense that has been an absolute struggle bus under Chip Kelly the entire time, and turned them into a just massive unit. Number 1 overall in drive efficiency. They do an excellent job using the field to their advantage, finding ways to avoid giving up long drives. Their offense isn't particularly good, so this tells you something. They often aren't starting out with great field position and still find ways to get off the field. They do a pretty good job at limiting big plays. That's going to be something to keep an eye on here because Arizona is so explosive. Can this number look, and these are scaled here to where the offensive numbers are. Arizona's still going to probably put up some big plays here. Can Arizona turn those into points, or can UCLA stop them? Number 2 in play efficiency. They do a really good job limiting the yards per play outside of explosives. Number 1 in negative drives. Really good at forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers. The defensive line in particular has been really good. They're number 2 in effective rush versus number 3 in effective pass. They have been really good all season. This is a fun matchup. Arizona is a much more balanced team. UCLA just has far and away the best unit that's going to be on the field. We've got this as UCLA with a 58% win probability, 1.88. Predicted just about that close as well. 28.01 to 26.11. UCLA is the favorite. Texas A&M is under the radar pretty good. Jimbo Fisher is your head coach for Texas A&M. Lane Kiffin is your head coach for Ole Miss. Now, Charlie Weiss Jr. is your offensive play caller for Ole Miss here. And DJ Durkin, with the best defense he's had in his career. He's not actually a great defensive coordinator, so this is the best he's ever done. Offensively, Ole Miss is number 17 overall in beta rank. They're at 17 in drive efficiency as well. They do a decent job, putting together long drives to be able to put up points. They're a little more middle of the road in explosiveness, number 33 overall in explosive drives. 18 overall in play efficiency. They do a decent job outside of explosive, finding ways to, get their yards per play. And 28 negative drives. They're okay at avoiding 3 and outs and avoiding turnovers. I mean, this is, by Lane Kiffin standards, this is one of the lesser offenses he's had in his time at Ole Miss. But they're still a pretty good Power 5, offense. No big run pass split here, 24 in effective rush versus 26 in effective pass. Jackson Dart is your quarterback here, 64.5% completion percentage, 9.9 per. Now, this A&M defense is in the top 10. They're really good. Might be a little susceptible here, though, because 23 in drive efficiency, they're definitely better at the number you see below. Limiting big plays, number 14 overall in explosive drives. You have been able to put together drives against them. It'll be interesting to see, too, because like I said, they're scaled. Ole Miss should still be able to hit some big plays here. What they do a really good job at is limiting your yards per play outside of explosives. That speaks as if you peek down a little bit, the run defense is better than the pass defense. And they do a really good job finding ways to force 3 and outs, force turnovers on you, sitting at number 9 overall in negative drives. Really solid numbers for this defense. Like I said, they're better against the run than they are against the pass. It'd be interesting to see if Jackson Dart's able to capitalize on that. Turn it into at least a decent day at the ballpark. Offensively, they're really struggling with Bobby Petrino as your play caller. They've been struggling under Jimbo Fisher. It's been a struggle. And even with the quarterback injuries, you just expect A&M to be better than they've been. Sitting around this season in the middle of the Power 5 is definitely not where they want to be. 41 overall in drive efficiency. They're not great. Let's not kid ourselves. They're not great at sustaining long drives in order to put up points. 41 in explosive drives. This is not a terribly explosive offense. They're at number 52 in play efficiency outside of explosives. They're not great at finding their yards per play. 18 in negative drives. This is a pretty good number for them. They do a good job avoiding 3 and outs, avoiding turnovers. They definitely throw the ball more than they run it. They're struggling to run the football. Max Johnson is your quarterback here. He's at 58.8% completion percentage, 7.8 per. Those aren't great. I mean, like I've talked about a couple times, like the modern college football, you want to be closer to 65% than you do 55%. Sitting down below 60% is definitely not a great number. This Ole Miss defense, you're hearing a puppy, family puppy. This Ole Miss defense is coached by Pete Golding, who came over from Alabama. He's definitely improved them to where they are this season. Kind of a middle of the Power 5 defense. I do expect if he sticks around, continued improvement for them. They're struggling with drive efficiency, though. You can definitely put together long drives to put up points against them. They're better at limiting big plays, number 20 overall in explosive drives. Keep an eye on this here if A&M is able to put together some longer drives here in this game. Number 8 in play efficiency. They do a good job outside of explosives, limiting your yards per play. And 14 overall in negative drives. They do a good job forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers. This is really their bread and butter. They want to find ways to get off the field, force you into doing bad things. 25 in effective rush versus 34 in effective pass. That's an interesting matchup for this A&M team. It'll be fun to watch them to see if they can put together more in the passing game here, because Ole Miss is a little more susceptible here. We've got this as Mississippi at 58% win probability, 2.56, and we've got them favored by actually less than a point in the predicted score, 24.4 to 23.81. Should be a really good one. This is absolutely one of the best, and I'm excited. It's on Thursday. Group of 5 matchups we're going to have all season. Kane Womack, South Alabama, against John Sumrall's Troy Trojans. This South Alabama team is a really balanced, really good group of 5 team, and they're going up against a Troy team that it still has a good offense, but their defense is just phenomenal in the top 10 this season. Major Applewhite is your offensive play caller for South Alabama, having a really good year, and definitely should get some looks to go back to the Power 5. Offensively sitting at number 20 overall. This is a really good group of 5 offense. Number 25 on drive efficiency. They do a really good job finding ways to sustain drives through execution and play calling in order to turn it into points. 26 overall on explosive drives. They do a pretty good job here too, putting up big plays. 24 in play efficiency outside explosives. They do a good job putting up their yards per play. And the negative drives, they're a little more susceptible here, 3 and outs and turnovers. They have a decent run pass split, 24 in effective pass versus 39 in effective rush. You definitely need to slow them down, throwing the ball around. Carter Bradley is your quarterback here, 65.7% completion percentage, 8.5 per. Now, Greg Gasparotto is your defensive play caller for Troy, and he's having a hell of a year. Number 7 overall in beta rank. Beta rank is not like some systems that have some other advanced stat systems that shall not be named that sometimes struggle, I think, to handle group of 5 units. Number 7 overall here. They're number 9 in drive efficiency. They do a really, really good job finding ways to avoid giving up long drives, avoid giving up points. Number 18 overall in explosive drives. They do a good job limiting your big plays. 15 in play efficiency. Again, like a pretty good job here limiting your yards per play outside of explosives. And negative drives. They're really good at this, forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers. Something to keep an eye on here. This is a really, really fun matchup for these 2 units going at each other. No big run pass split here. Again, like this is going to be this on this side of the football alone. This is going to be one of the best group of 5 matchups you're going to see here. This offense versus this defense. Now you flip it around. Look, Troy's offense is not bad by group of 5 standards. I like to say like you group. I mean, this year you would judge Power 5 teams on a 1 to 65 or 1 to 69 scale. So it's being at 72 overall puts you in the sunny side of a group of 5 offense. They really struggle at drive efficiency, 133 in drive efficiency. They just do not put together long drives to put up points very often. What they do is they put up big plays. They're at number 18 overall on explosive drives. This is something to absolutely keep an eye on here. This matchup against the South Alabama defense, which is also pretty good. Number 59 in play efficiency outside of explosives. They're not doing a great job sustaining yards per play. Number 48 overall in negative drives. They definitely take their share of 3 and outs, take their share of turnovers. Decent run pass split, 59 in effective pass versus 85 in effective rush. Gunnar Watson's your QB here, 60.3% completion percentage, 8.8 per. Just something to keep an eye on. Like this is going to be a fun one here. Now, Joe Craddock is your offensive play caller for Troy. Corey Batoon is your defensive coordinator for South Alabama. Now, this is a really, really good South Alabama defense. They're not in Troy range, but this is still, by group of 5 standards, a really good defense. Now, what they struggle with is drive efficiency. You can put together long drives to put up points against them. Luckily for them, in this case, that's not what Troy does very well. Explosive drives, however, they do a really good job limiting big plays. Now, 41 in play efficiency outside of explosives. They do a decent job limiting the yards per play. 31 overall at negative drives. Decent job forcing 3 and outs, forcing turnovers. They don't have a big run pass split, but they're definitely not in the direction you necessarily want it to be. Definitely a little worse against the pass than they are defending the run. Something to keep an eye on here. We've got this as a true toss-up game between these two in the predicted win probability as well as the naive spread. But we've got South Alabama as a slight favorite in the predicted score, 20.52 to 19.91. Again, this should be a really, really fun game. I'm excited for both of the. I'm excited to see both of these units going at it with each other. My hope is that we're not at the end watching, some turnover-fueled blowout. That this lives up to all the hype, and at least in my head, that this game's potentially going to get. So that's it. We got through them, and mostly on time and under budget. Like I said, there are some really, really good games in college football this week. And we've covered 6 of them. If you're interested in finding out more about the advanced stats, we'll cover off like how you can reach me or where you can find more of them in just a second. But I am excited. I'm really excited to see the games this weekend. Like I said, there are a couple other really good games, and there are always games that appear, like before the game is played, appear to be not close if you're looking at the spread, but then end up being quite close. Sometimes by turnover, sometimes by bad luck, sometimes by teams just playing really well. And we do get to see Michigan coming back after the and playing after the scandal. A little bit more time than they had last time with Michigan State. But I'm really, really excited for this week and what we're going to see. Yeah. So you can find all the stats you just saw and a whole lot more at sharpcollegefootball.com. I'm Rob Bowron, the econometrician behind BetaRank. You find me at BetaRank FB and at Sharp College Football. We have a Pac-12 podcast for as long as that's going to continue at 12 Pack Radio. You can find all the back episodes of that at sharpcollegefootball.com/12 Pack Radio. Thank you so much